Feride. Today we are making pumpkin pie and we are making it from scratch. It's actually easier than you think it is, and you will get excellent results with my step-by-step instructions. Let's get started. These are the ingredients for the pie crust. I have 2 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon granulated sugar, a half a teaspoon of salt, 1 cup, which equals 8 ounces, cold, very cold butter that I cut into chunks, and I have 7 tablespoons of ice cold water. For the pie filling, I have 3 eggs, 2 cups of pumpkin puree. This is homemade pumpkin puree, and I showed you how to make it in one of my previous episodes. Please check it out. I have a half a cup of granulated sugar and a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup heavy cream, and for the spices, I'm using 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of ginger powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I also have 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Let's start with the dough. I have the flour in the bowl, and to it I'm adding the sugar and salt. I'll toss them together. I'll add the butter. And at this point, you can use either your pastry blender or your hands. This is a pastry blender. You can cut in the butter using it, or use your hands like I do. Just rub the butter in between your fingertips to incorporate it into the flour, and do this process until you have pieces that range from coarse crumbs to the size of small peas. At this point, I'm going to add my ice cold water to the dough. I'm going to drizzle it like this, 7 tablespoons in total. I'm going to mix this mixture until the dough holds together when pinched. All right, this is what we're looking for. I'm going to test it and pinch it like this. It holds together, which means it's ready. At this point, the mixture should have a crumbly texture. It should not be sticky. I'm transferring the dough onto my work surface. I'll knead it a few times until all the pieces come together. I cut the dough in 2 parts and I patted each into a circle. I'm going to wrap each circle in plastic wrap and chill in the refrigerator for at least 1 hour. You may ask why we have 2 pieces of dough here. One is going to be our pie crust, and the other piece is going to go on top. I'm going to create decorative leaves to go on top of our baked pie, but this is optional. If you don't want to have any decoration on your pie, just skip that part. Make half of this dough recipe, or just make the whole thing and freeze the other part for later use. I've removed one of the dough circles from the refrigerator. It chilled there for about 1 hour, and I let it sit at room temperature for 10 minutes because it was a little bit hard. So it softened a little bit. It will make it easier to roll it out. Now I'm going to sprinkle my surface lightly with some flour, and I'm also going to dust my rolling pin with the flour so that the dough doesn't stick to it. And I will start to roll out the dough from the center towards the edges into a circle 12 inches wide. And I will rotate it from time to time, go from the center towards the edges like this, and you will see little specks of butter in the dough, and this is normal. This is what will make our pie crust flaky. I rolled out my dough into a 12-inch circle, and I'm going to transfer it onto my 9-inch pie pan. Press onto the dough to make sure that it sticks to the pan, and you will see some overhanging dough around the edges. Just tuck it inside like this. I'm going to create a fluted edge on our pie like this. My pie crust is nicely decorated now around the edges. I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap and send it in the freezer for 30 minutes before I pre-bake it. While our pie crust is resting in the freezer, let's make our decorative leaves. So I took the second circle of dough from the refrigerator, and I'm going to roll it out into a very thin disc. I've rolled out the dough into a thin disc. Now, if you have a cookie cutter shaped like a leaf, cut out leaf shapes from this dough. If you don't have a cookie cutter, create leaves like me. So this is my sample. I'm going to try to create a leaf like that with a spoon. I'm going to use it to cut them out. So let's see. If I go this way, Now let's go this way, and we pinch, create the middle, and then the veins around like this. So here's our first leaf. Not bad, right? My leaf cutouts are ready. I put them on a parchment lined baking pan. I'm going to bake these cutouts in the oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes until they're nice and golden. Our cutout leaves are ready. Take a closer look at them. We really didn't need a cookie cutter to create them, right? They are nice and golden and they're going to cool aside. I removed our pie crust from the freezer where it stayed for 30 minutes and now I'm ready to pre-bake it. The reason I'm pre-baking this crust is because once the pie is completely ready and baked, the crust will be flakier and it won't be doughy and soggy, and that's exactly what I want to achieve. So let's do it. I have my frozen pie shell here and I have a piece of parchment paper that I'm going to crinkle. I'm going to put this parchment paper on the pie shell and I'm going to fill it up with baking beans. I'm using a mixture of different kinds of beans, but you can use uncooked rice as well. The goal is to keep the crust from puffing up while baking, so this is going to help us. My goal is just to get it set, the dough set, but not golden. I'm going to put this in the oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and pre-bake this pie crust for 15 minutes. And I'll show you how it looks when it's ready. I baked my pie crust in the 400 degrees oven for 15 minutes until the bottom has set nicely. It's not doughy anymore, it's not soggy, and the edges are nice and crisp. I did not want to brown the edges because the pie is going to bake with the filling for a long time, and that's when the edges will get golden brown. I'm going to put it aside to cool completely while I prepare our pie filling. I'm starting by breaking the eggs into the bowl. I'll give the eggs a very light whisk. To this I'm adding my white sugar, brown sugar, give it a whisk. In goes the pumpkin puree, heavy cream, cinnamon, ginger, vanilla extract, nutmeg. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to stir these ingredients together until nice and creamy. Our pre-baked pie crust is now cool, and I'm going to pour the pumpkin filling inside. I'm going to bake this in the oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit for exactly 1 hour until the edges of the filling are set and the center is just a little bit jiggly, but it's set as well, and the edges are going to get golden as well. It baked beautifully and I already cooled it down completely after I removed it from the oven, but when it was just baked, the edges were set about 2 inches in towards the center, and the center was just a little bit jiggly when I shook the pie dish. But as it cooled down, it continued to bake and set even more. So it's ready to decorate now. And we have our beautiful leaves ready. I'm going to just put them around the edges. Right, we decorated our pie and it looks absolutely delicious and beautiful, and I'm going to try it soon. I have a slice of my pumpkin pie for myself. Take a closer look at the texture, you guys. It's nice and creamy. Very good. I chilled my pie before I sliced it, so it set even more. And the shell baked nicely. It's nice and golden. Take care not to over bake it. If you see that the edges of the shell are getting brown too quickly, just cover them with foil while baking. And I'm ready to try it. It is very delicious, you guys. I love that we use ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg in the filling, but you can use allspice as well, or some cloves, ground. They will add nice flavor too, but I just thought that these 3 ingredients were good enough. Get the detailed recipe on my blog azcookbook.com. If you make this pie And let me know in the comments down below, and also use hashtag to share your pictures on your social media. I would love to see them. Thank you so much for watching me. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. I'll see you soon. Happy holidays. Bye.